Welcome back to the Check Swing Podcast, y'all, with myself and, of course, my man, the star of the show, Mr. Coach Santa over there. It's been a couple weeks since we talked to y'all, so we got some things that we're going to cover. There's been a few things going on. Congratulations to the Golden State Warriors for winning another NBA title, defeating the Boston Celtics. There's no way I was rooting for the Celtics in that. I'm a Sixers fan, and we don't do that. We just don't do that. But it's time for the Check Swing Podcast. So you know what I like to do. That when I start the show, what I do is I ask my people how they been. So Miguel,
Sir,
how you been, brother?
been well, sir. Just a quick shout out. Last weekend, which was the weekend of last week. Our 2023 select team from the Rawlings Prospects of Maryland organization we opened our travel season. Got off to a great start, but kind of, it was kind of rough. We faced some real good talent. But love the team. We started out 1-3. It's a fun team. Love coaching those guys. So just wanted to give them a quick shout out. They balled out. So if you look up Prep Sports on Twitter, I forgot the Twitter handle already. I blanked out. But you can see some of the guys. I posted some on my personal social media and pushed it out. So looking forward to a fun season. We'll be down in Harrisonburg, Virginia. So if you don't know where that is, I don't either. But there's
Harrisonburg.
It's in Harrisonburg. Yeah, we were outside of Richmond city limits, so it was pretty active, but not so active. We're going to be heading down Route 66. However that song goes. Get your kicks on
Route 66.
Mm-hmm. But we'll definitely be in mountainous zone because I think in the directions it's like 95, 495, 66, and then I think you go down 81 and it's just green, and then it says Harrisonburg. That's it.
Yeah, it's been at least a good, it's probably 8-9 years since I've been to Harrisonburg. I used to make the trip almost every year.
Nice area. Okay.
Yeah, nice area. Nice area, nice school. James Madison out there.
James Madison University.
It's you'll enjoy it. Not a lot to do out there, but you're out there on a business trip, not necessarily for vacation. But
this weekend we're doing a showcase. So just 3 games. I think the last game will be actually at James Madison University on Sunday. So just a chance to showcase the guys. And what was your question?
No, it wasn't a question. I was actually going to switch things out. I know we talked about the order that we were going to go in, but you just saying what you said made me want to switch things up a little bit.
Uh-oh.
And talk about talk about a quote that you came across. Excuse me, when it comes to baseball and youth sports, period. And I'll read the quote real quick. It says the biggest issue with the recruiting process is the monetary barrier. Currently, recruiting isn't who's best. It's who is able to afford to attend the marquee events. If you want to save the sport, this is what needs to change. Baseball needs to be accessible to everyone. I wholeheartedly agree with that quote. And I don't think it's just baseball. Baseball is probably one of the biggest, I don't want to say victims, but baseball is probably one of the biggest victims of what that quote is saying. But I think in many sports, I mean, you have marquee events in football, you have marquee events in basketball, AAU, track and field, all that stuff, softball, all those things. And you 9 times out of 10, the first people that will, and probably 10 times out of 10, the first people that are going to get those looks are the ones that have the money to attend the events, such as maybe the showcase that you're going to this weekend. Those things cost money. There are events that go on where they'll come out and they'll register your measurables, your speed, your arm strength, your fielding ability, your hitting ability, all that good stuff. But that stuff costs money. Um, it says baseball needs to be accessible to everyone, and it seems like baseball has become, at least at the youth level, almost like an elite sport. I mean, they call golf an elite sport. Um, Basketball is not one of those elite sports because all you really need is a ball and a hoop. Miguel, you found this quote. It stood out to you. So speak your mind on what this quote is saying to you.
Yeah, it goes back to kind of piggybacking what you've kind of been saying. It kind of struck home because there's a program in Baltimore, in the city of Baltimore, that is run by a gentleman who was born and raised in the city. Um, and I'll see if if I'll see in a couple weeks if I'm allowed to kind of promote him on the show because I haven't met him. But the story is he wanted to bring back urban baseball into the city limits of Baltimore, especially promoting black youth. But it just seems like even the people that I've talked to that I've met in my journey down here in Maryland, they say pretty much nothing is coming out of Baltimore. That's kind of the thing, which is sad because I think some of the best athletes come from our inner cities. It's just that it's a matter of opportunity. It's a matter of financial disparity, class disparity, race disparity. Because what this gentleman is doing in Baltimore City is phenomenal because he's basically bringing what you and I have access to in our organizations, the hit tracks, the all the modern technology, and he's bringing that to the inner city and exposing inner city children to it. But he's strictly um, nonprofit. So he needs the sponsors. He's reaching out to like University of Maryland. He's reaching out to different venues, the Baltimore Orioles, and but it's a hard sell because it's in the inner city. It's in a place that is marked by violence, and there was even a tragic event that happened to an NFL player under weird circumstances. Who passed away within the last 24 hours. Um, Not violence related, but it's still happening in the city, almost on a daily basis. So it's a quote that I was hoping that we wouldn't have to mention, or you know, here we are 2022 and we're still talking about the disparities, that now it's spilling over into our sports. So it's
Yeah, and
you
it's
know,
it's kind of is dipped in the basis of why we started this show over a year ago.
yeah,
Well, we've been doing the show over a year. Can you
yeah.
believe that?
We gotta start
Um,
we gotta start having anniversary shows.
I know, right? I didn't even realize it. That the summer jumped up on me real quick, but it kind of goes back to the base of why we started our show. We started the show as two coaches, especially being we coach the urban youth, we coach the suburban youth, and we have seen the differences in a lot of things within the game of baseball between what the suburban youth get and what the urban youth get. And the
Well,
and the biggest difference, I think, all comes to monetary differences. Go ahead. I think you were about
no,
to
no, no,
say
because because it's not just what they get, but what they are able to afford. Because like
something. Right. Yeah.
right,
I probably was
so
going to say yeah, but yeah.
right, so it's it if you have 12 guys from Penwood and then 12 guys from any one of our organizations outside of that, and they'll say all right, we want you to be in this showcase, in this tournament, and everything like that. Say, okay, no problem. 90% chance that the people, the 12 players from your organization are just, or from your high school, are just not going to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I know a guy that coaches a team. He's been coaching the team for since I was in high school. Probably even before I was in high school, he's been coaching the team here in the Philadelphia area, and there's been mostly focused on the urban youth of giving them the opportunity to travel around and play some games, and play in tournaments and national tournaments and things of that nature. And um, this last summer they played mostly in the area, mostly in the region. This summer they were supposed to travel, you know, span out a little bit more, like they have in the past. But the price was a little higher to play this year, and I know some people that were not able to come up with that price because of that. Um, and it's a shame because you got guys that love the game and want to play, but they can't play. They don't get a chance to get seen at a certain type of level or get seen at a certain type of events because they can't afford to go. Um, I mean, unfortunately, it's the world we live in. Um, there are talented people all over the place, but sometimes it's about how much money you got. But the scratch is, unfortunately, to get to some of these events and get showcased at some of these events. It's, think of politicians that are able to raise millions and millions of dollars easily. They get on the ticket.
Right.
Politicians that can't do it, we never hear of them, and they never win. So
It's
it's not just sports. It's all over the place. The money makes the world go round. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny. It reminds me of a story because I have a coworker that I kind of talk about race relations with because this person I want to say I hope that this person is like really truly blinded but not trying to like I guess appease so to speak. Anyway, but we have these conversations about race relations all the time because this person will ask questions like if you see a cop come up, why do you automatically run? And then there's a story behind that because of what we experience. You and I have experienced, being born and raised in the inner city. But this person, so apparently every year when there's a game, the first game of the year at Camden Yards, there's a big celebration. There's a lot of vending trucks that come out. It's a really big deal, and the university will allow employees to kind of come over and take a game and whatnot. This person said that about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, the person that I replaced, he was a person of color. They actually went down and they were able to take in the sights and the sounds. They were able to see and everything like that. But my coworker noticed that the other person wasn't really like engaged or anything like that. So she asked him like are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And then she kind of pressed him and he said like this is a great experience, but I'm here because, the university kind of paid for it. But if this is something I really wanted to come to myself or I wanted my people to come to, they wouldn't be able to afford it. And she was taken aback. She's like, what do you mean they can't afford it? She's like, look at the prices. That hot dogs were like $12, soda was this, parking is that. So she was like, just to enjoy a baseball game, not including the ticket, because I believe it's like $45, it's something astronomical. But it just to come to the game is over $100, and that's including the ticket. So you're
That's
saying right, and she's like, if and he told her like, if you look around, the only people that are of color or that are around are the ones that are cooking in the food trucks. So she
mm,
claimed right. So she claimed she was like kind of taken aback by it, like I couldn't see that. So she went back to see for herself, and she was like, you know what, you're right. And the other thing she noticed too was that when she was walking with him, she was getting stared at, or they both were getting stared at because she was a person that's not of color with a person of color.
okay.
Because there's still that tension. Because we're even though it's Baltimore City, we're Mason Dixon lining, but so far, so
It's south, but it's not south, or
it's
it's not
south, but
south,
it's not
but
south.
it's south. Where
Right,
either way you want, however you want to look at that. Yeah.
right. So it was just interesting hearing that caveat, that kind of you know that back and forth, like somebody who really doesn't see, because her thing is I don't see color, and it's like, well, the rest of your people do. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And understanding that disparity, so baseball as a whole being accessible, I think actually has to start not just from these leagues that we have, these organizations. It's got to start right from the rip, from the stadium, being able to afford a seat to watch a game.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I mean, I can remember. I mean, growing up, I was fortunate enough that my dad was able to take me to games at Veteran Stadium. I mean, we didn't go a whole lot, but I mean, we went,
right?
quite a bit. Whether it be, his job had tickets, whether he bought tickets, whether we got them from a scalper, whatever the case may be, you know. But of course, then baseball game tickets were a lot cheaper than they are now. Now it's totally different. I actually, a couple Sundays ago, took my daughter to a game. And it was funny. We got there around the second inning, and she wanted some food, so we stood in line
Naturally,
for the food, right? And we were looking at the prices and stuff. The hot dog was like $8. No, the bottle of water was $8.
yeah.
Hot dog might have been pretty close to that. $5, $6, maybe $8. Um, like the prices on things were ridiculous. And for people that maybe live in paycheck to paycheck or just above paycheck to paycheck, maybe you really got to plan these things out. Like you can't just go and just splurge and it's not going to hurt you.
Right.
And it kind of trickles down to the game at a youth level, where of course when you go to a youth level game, they're not going to be selling $8 hot dogs. At least I hope not. But let's talk about equipment. You got to buy equipment. You're going to need a bat. You're going to need a glove. A good glove going to cost you probably $100 at least. A good glove. Um, a bat's gonna cost you a couple $100. You gotta have baseballs, which baseballs used to be like $1. Now they're like $4 a ball, something crazy like
The
that.
price of a Happy Meal.
Right. And you can't even eat it. Um, but yeah, something's got to change within the game to make it more accessible to all people across all walks of life. A lot of people are missing out on a very good game, and a really high character building game. Like baseball is as an extreme character builder.
Yeah.
Um, and and it's unfortunate. It's
I
really.
don't know that baseball wants to, and I only say that because of how the game is scouted.
Mhm.
Because like you look at baseball now, and it's like the majority of the players are of my ethnicity. I'm Puerto Rican by nature, by nature, but it's like they want to go after players that, how do I say it? When you so I always use the example of Carlos Ruiz. Carlos Ruiz was drafted by the Phillies. I was somewhere around 2002, 2003. Venezuelan shortstop, Venezuelan second baseman, and his first big league contract was $20,000. But when you make the conversion, that's a couple $100,000, in his country. So why would like Major League Baseball want to go after a lot of deep true talent here in the states when we know our value, we know what we're worth, everything like that when we enter the draft, when they can just kind of get a player that once they turn 16, 17, they can kind of get them into the draft that way and not pay them as much.
Yeah, I mean, if when you think about it, it's almost that way across the board. Like when you think about how the contracts are aligned in baseball, like
Mhm.
you get in there, you're not making much money at all, and it takes a while for you to make some money. But yeah, when you get somebody you from another country that is going to be happy to get the money that they're getting, even though it doesn't really compare to some of the money that they could be getting. Um, from a business standpoint, of course, they're going to go after those guys. Um, Another thing is I was talking with a friend of mine, and he was talking about how he was trying to get a kid to play in like an organization like some of the ones that we coached in. And I'm going to try to say this without sounding derogatory towards any organization, but the kid's father wanted the kid to continue playing in the organization he's already in because the kid was killing it.
Mhm.
Well, the organization he was playing in, let's just say it's not one of the highly recognized organizations for competition. Okay,
Mhm.
but he's killing it, and his father feels like he's killing it. He's going to get looks. Unfortunately, he doesn't realize that they're not going to look at that organization for talent,
Right.
even though the talent might be there.
Right.
They're going to look at the organizations that are playing against other talented organizations that are paying the high price to get the training, to get the lessons, to get the equipment, to get the uniforms, get the practice time, and all like that. So the game is, like you said, to your point, the game is recruited in a different way as well.
Right.
So it's unfortunate, but it's the way of the world, and I think it's up to people like you and I and some of the other people that we know to try to bring that game to the youth that want to play it. And it's up to us. I mean, there was people I grew up playing in an organization in my neighborhood, and it was one of the most competitive organizations in the county. And but it's not around anymore, and it shows when the kids get older. So um, I think it's up to us. It's up to people like us. It's up to people that want to make a difference and that want to bring, like the guy that you were speaking of in Baltimore, that want to bring the game to the urban youth, and really expand on the game. To really expand on the game. So I was thinking about a conversation that you and I have had many times on this show about how I was a Braves fan growing up because a lot of the guys on the team looked like me.
Right.
That's I don't think that is the case with any team in majors anymore. And not to sound bad, but let's separate things even more. Professional baseball has gotten to the point where probably most of the guys on the team look like you when you think about it, right?
Hmm.
Which I ain't got no problem with that. The talent is amazing.
Right.
Um, but now we're talking about all teams. All the teams look like that. However, the crowd, let's get back to the crowd. The crowd is not changing. Think about that. The landscape has changed, but the audience has not. So when you think about it in that way, some things have to change. Some things really have to change with that. And like I said, I think it's up to people like you and I. It's up to people like, people that I know here in this area, people that you have met in that area to make a difference. And I mean, final thought on that before we move on.
No, no, no. I think we kind of touched on it, the way it needs to kind of be touched on. I just it's heartbreaking to see, at times. But at the same time, it's like, all right, when you said, it's up to us, it's like, it helps you kind of, it forces you to kind of come up with some sort of strategy or plan to try to, you know, get it noticed. So
Yeah,
get
I'm
back on
sorry.
track.
I'm sorry. I'm getting distracted over here.
Uh-oh.
Getting distracted over here by people.
They don't know you're on a live show.
Wow.
Whoops. You got to tell your people to read the memos.
What my man Rodney Dangerfield say? No respect. No respect.
So you got to break that down to these millennials. They think Rodney Dangerfield is some guy at Lidl's selling you cookies.
Well, speaking of baseball, let's keep it in the game of baseball. Let's talk a little bit about the Phillies and some of the things that have been going on with the Phillies lately. Unfortunately, the Phillies are on like a 3-game losing streak now. I think last time we spoke, they were in the midst of a long winning streak, and actually, this game I went to was the end of that winning streak.
You got to
Um,
stop going to games. I think that happened before you ended like two streaks.
no, I went to 2 games this year. Was it two? I think I've been to 2 games this year. And no, I'm sorry. I've been to 3 games this year. The last two I went to, they lost. And this was actually the first. I think this was the first game I've been to in the last couple years where they actually didn't win. So I probably won't go back to any more games this year because unfortunately it seems like I'm the jinx. Except for like all the games they were losing when Girardi was there.
I will say the last time I went to a Phillies game, which I believe was like 8-17. No, it may have been like 15, whatever Brian Howard's last year was. I
No, that's not
remember.
the last time you went.
Say again.
That's not the last time you went to a game. You and I went to a game
Yeah, but I remember leaving angry.
because they lost.
Right, but it was. I think they lost like 1-0, and I think they loaded the bases like 3 times,
Oh yeah,
twice,
they left a lot of
twice,
guys in place.
twice with nobody out, and I think they struck out the side both times.
That was teams with like Mikel Franco.
Yeah,
Um, who else was on that team? Just a bunch of guys that you know. But the funny thing is, okay, and let's get to the that team that we watched when we went to that game, and the year before, and I think the year after, something along those lines, got hot at some point during the year, which made you believe. And each time they got hot, it was prior to the All Star break. Except for one year, I think they got hot one time after the All Star break, when like August, and then they just fell apart in September. But they got hot before the All Star break. Exciting team, and then once the All Star break happened, it was like almost all the momentum was gone.
yeah.
Um,
I remember that game now too because Vinny Velasquez. I think he had like 12 strikeouts in like 4 innings, but threw like 380 pitches.
something like that, and
Annoying.
it was cloudy that day too. I remember it was
Yeah,
cloudy. We had
it was
jackets and stuff,
dreary.
and it was like May. But um, do the Phillies have enough to finish to catch the Braves and possibly even the Mets? Do they have enough to do so? I mean, the way it looks now, you would think so, but we've been slapped in the face by the Phillies before. What do you think?
I need the closer situation resolved because
Yeah.
Corey Knubel is not your closer, and he's proven that. And I'm glad that Thompson had the wherewithal and the confidence to say, you know what, he's not the closer anymore. I would love to see what Sir Anthony Dominguez can do. I know he's
That's what a
coming.
lot of people are calling
I
for him
know
to.
I know he's coming off of the Tommy John and all that, but it's like you don't know what you got until you know what you got. You know what I mean? It's like you got to put him in the situation. You got to see what he has now and ride out the final run to see if this guy's it. You know, or trade for one. You know what I mean? And I don't think the Phillies have a great history of trading for. They got lucky the one year with when they won the World Series, and they got Matt Stairs, who really only had like 2 or 3 really clutch at bats the
Mhm.
entire postseason. And Joe Blanton, remember, he was not. It wasn't the trade deadline, but he was a trade that year. Um, but I don't know who they'd be willing to give or who they have to give up because the minor league system is
Depleted,
depleted, trashed, whatever you want to call it. Um,
and they need a center fielder.
yeah, I mean, and Odubel Herrera is like the key. Like he's like if if constipation was a thing, that would be Odubel. Like you're hopeful, it's about to be
Hold on.
it's about to be successful, and then nothing. Like for instance,
My friend is a hell of a comparison.
I'm just saying. Do you not? I still go back. Remember that swing in Los Angeles about a month ago?
Yes, and the ball that went through his legs.
The ball that went through his legs that he swung at, and then after he swung at, he was wondering. He had that look on his face, like, how did they not hit that? To the point where the both announcers paused, and I think the only thing that anybody could say, did he really just swing at that?
I
And he,
told you
and,
my theory behind that swing, right?
no, you didn't tell me your theory behind that swing. Is there a
My
theory
theory
behind the
behind
swing?
that swing was two. I got two kind of theories that I'm going to put all in one for the sake of time. My theory behind that swing was I don't remember the count or anything like that, but my theory was he was sitting fastball. My theory was he had it made
What?
up. It, hold on. He was sitting fastball. My theory was also that he had it made up in his mind that he was going to swing at the next pitch. And when the ball comes out, it comes out. It was either curveball or slider. It comes out straight. It didn't like directly go there. It comes out straight and it broke down. And it broke down and towards him, which makes me think it was more of a slider. Because you want to throw the slider at the back foot of a lefty if you're a righty.
You are
And it
so
just had so much break on it that once it broke, like he was looking fastball. Slider looks fastball for a long time. It breaks. He can't help but to swing now because he's already committed.
you are reaching.
I am, I am, and he couldn't stop the swing, and he
Show,
just had to
show,
go.
let's show the people this damn swing and tell me what you think he could possibly be thinking.
See, all right, let's bring it back. Well, I guess it's going. See, he was already committed on the swing. He was already
Under
committed, but you see how it broke? Let's run it back. Boom, and my theory is he was, and I'm not saying this is a good theory. No, don't get me wrong with that.
Okay, hold
My
on.
theory was he was sitting fastball, and he had his mind made up that he was going to swing at the pitch.
Okay, even if that's the case, right here, okay, he still has about another 15 feet to make a damn decision. The trajectory of that ball, even if you're committed to the swing, is human nature will say, I'm going to get hit, but I'm also going to check my swing. But instead, he's like, nope, screw it. I'm swinging all the way through and I'm going to miss it by another 15 feet.
And all right, but watch the swing from there. It looks like he wanted to stop, but he couldn't. Like at that point, he wanted to hold up. Like if you watch his hands, he wanted to hold up. Watch his hands. He wanted to hold up right there, but he just couldn't. He was committed. As poker players would say, I mean, it looks terrible. Don't get me wrong. As players would say, he was pot committed. Like in the game of poker, there's a certain point where you probably should have folded, but you've put so much money in the pot that it doesn't really benefit you to fold. So you might as well go with it and see what happens. In that
Odubel,
swing, I think he was pot committed. He wanted to stop. He was pot committed. Couldn't stop it. Couldn't hold it back. That's my theory. I'm sticking to it. I mean, he was blatantly fooled on it, and he couldn't do anything about it.
Odubel.
And let's not lose sight of the fact that he's just not that good either.
Well, but here's the thing though. He shows flashes all the time. Because the
Prior
next
to him, prior to him being suspended from the team, he was looking very good.
he was looking very good. He still had those moments. But even now, like I think the next day he went like 3 for 5 and hit like 2 home runs and threw somebody out of the plate. And then the next game, I believe was that game where I think there was a pickoff play and it went in center field and it went right through his glove. It went all the way to the wall. And he was looking up at home plate while the ball was going underneath him. It's like he has these hiccup moments and is the true walking definition of constipation with the failed attempt of a Rolade or something to try to help the situation. He's a walking constipation.
I can't say I disagree with you. I was just trying to defend him on that swing in a way that I think only a baseball person could defend him on that swing. Now I was 4 5 years ago. I was a double guy. I thought he was good. I thought he was the future of center field for the Phillies. Then he got in that trouble. The year before he got into trouble, he was becoming shaky.
Yeah.
Um, then he got into trouble, came back, and he's not. He's not what people thought well, at least what I thought he should have been. I went to a game one time where Double. I mean, these things happen. He robbed a home run in center field.
Mm-hmm.
Jumped up, boom, took it right from over the fence. Wow, this dude's amazing. Then he does stuff like that and swings at a ball that broke between his legs.
I think
Now,
I
now
lost.
let me also defend a double from something you said.
No,
Yes, let me defend him for something.
indefensible.
But I'm just defending him with something you said because you did something very intelligent there. You said he's got at least 15 more feet to not swing.
Yes,
Anyone that has played baseball knows that 15 feet, that ball travels that 15 feet that fast. So it's not like it was like, oh, 15 feet. Should I? Should I? Nah, I won't do it.
understood.
Okay, I won't do it.
Understood. Here's my defense to that. Have you ever seen? How often do you see a swing that Odubel Herrera made like that in the big leagues? I've seen
Never,
that swing. I've
never,
seen.
never.
I
Maybe
am
once
that,
every 30 years, and
and
we probably won't see one for another 30.
I've seen it at 11U. I've seen it at 7U, and I hate to like I hate to
But,
bash.
okay, but when you see it at 7U, 11U, whatever, they don't swing at it because they usually don't swing at something like that because they thought it was a good pitch. It's what I said. They either had it made up in their mind that they were going to swing, or they were completely fooled.
I don't know that he was. I think there's a mental challenge going on with him. I'll just go
And
right
it,
there.
it, it might be, it might be.
You know
I,
what I
I
mean?
just go back to a game. I remember playing a game in college. I remember we were playing against Mount St. Mary's, and I remember this because prior to this at bat, I was batting 1,000 on the year. I was batting 1,000, and last at bat of the game, full count, no, 2-2 count, something like that. And I had it in my mind. I said I'm swing because I saw two pitches go by that were good. I think the first one I swung at was good. I just missed it. Second one was right there, and I was like, I should have smashed that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, all right, you know what? Next pitch I'm swinging at because he's throwing them right down the shoot. Let me go ahead and swing at this pitch and go ahead and hit it. He ain't wasting no pitches on me. And he threw the pitch about here on me. You can't see. He threw the pitch about forehead high. And I swung at it and ended the game. Not with a walk-off either. It was a walk-off strikeout. That's what it was. Struck out and I had to walk back to the dugout, walk off the field to the dugout and see the rest of my teammates. But it was because, and I couldn't even get mad. It was because I had it in my mind that I was going to swing at the next pitch regardless. And I couldn't get mad because my coach said you had your mind made up that you were going to swing at that swing. And he was right. And I was like,
Yeah.
damn. Like usually a coach, you can be like, man, I ain't what it was. He was absolutely right. And it was like, it was a bad pitch. I was pot committed. I started to swing. I wanted to stop. If I remember correctly, I think I stopped my hands and the bat just kept going because I just didn't have the strength to stop it. And there you have it. I messed up. I looked like a fool. I didn't look as foolish as you know who, but I looked like a fool.
He's like, I ain't look like him.
I didn't look as bad as him.
You prefaced that I ain't look like that though.
I didn't look as bad as him. There are a lot of people that swing at that high fastball with intentions on hitting it.
But see, even that, like you can understand because it's the hype of the moment, and you know how pitchers play with the eye line and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
plus the high fastball, it's the closest to the eye, so you see more of it. So logically, you're like, all right, well, if I see more of it, then I can hit it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But if it's a curveball in the dirt, even low and away, you're like, all right, I see it now. I don't, but you at least make the attempt to check.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I mean?
He was
I
pot committed. He couldn't stop in time.
and I think that I think Herrera
I
would
think he
actually.
felt stupid too.
I think I think I think he would benefit his career if he actually. I think it's to a point where he may need to change the scenery, and he may actually get better under a different regime. You know what I
Well,
mean?
everyone gets better when they leave Philadelphia in every sport. We all know that. They do. I don't know who's gotten worse. Do you? Can you tell me somebody's gotten worse once they left Philly?
Nick Foles, Carson Wentz,
Good point.
but I think I think with Carson Wentz
Not
is
fair. It's not fair, but it's a good point.
So he made a couple points there that I can't refute.
Can't do it. I will say Carson Wentz had a bad year prior to leaving Philadelphia, and just kind of stay consistent with that.
Yeah,
With
but
that,
but even with Carson Wentz, like he got a chance to go to the perfect situation, to the coach that everybody said he liked, to the offense that he said he liked, and even, I mean, when you go to that situation and that head coach apologizes to the owner for making that move, that's got to do something for you. His confidence has to be shot for the rest of his career.
oh, absolutely.
And then you go to D,
I
and then
hope
you
so.
and,
Yeah, we got to see him twice a year, so I hope so.
and then you go to DC to get your confidence back. How does that work?
And speaking of DC, the Commanders, they're under fire right now. They had like a congressional hearing or something about their workplace environment. We're not even going to get into that, but I just wanted to mention it. But back to the question at hand with the Phillies, do they have enough to catch the Braves and the Mets?
I think today, no. I think we got to solidify the back end of the bullpen. We got to get Nick Castellanos hitting because I think he's suffering from the jinx of moving into Ben Simmons' old.
I was going to say somebody put on Twitter like, "Yo, he got to move out of Ben Simmons' house."
Yo,
he,
the week that he started moving in, he stopped hitting completely. Talk about bad mojo.
yeah, he's got to
Um,
get out of there. He's got to do something different.
yeah,
Um, can I digress real quick?
absolutely.
So what's today? So I want to say, well, a couple days ago, I decide, middle of the day, I just got off work. I wasn't sleepy, had some energy. I said, I'm gonna go to the basketball court and I'm just gonna, shoot around a little bit. Not playing a game, not doing nothing crazy. I just wanted to go there, push some shots up, get my body moving a little bit. And I found out, Miguel, I found out I found out that I'm old. I found out that I'm old. I mean, I was out there, I don't have the greatest handle. I'm not Kyrie Irving and not Allen Iverson or anything like that. But I can handle the ball a little bit. I was out there dribbling like and kids, you'll have to look them up on YouTube. I was out there looking like John Havlicek dribbling the ball. And if you know what I mean, I'm just out there with like one hand just kind of just dribbling and I was making some shots, but I mean, one time, a couple times, I went up for a jumper, and my leg cramped up on me.
Oh Jesus.
Sometimes you shoot the ball and it might hit off the side of the rim. You got to run to go get the ball. I was running on my heels. I felt extra heavy. It was. I felt old, man. I felt like I did not belong out there, even by myself.
Jesus. Dude, you need a hug or something? Jeez.
No, no, no. I mean, it's my own fault because I purposely avoided playing any basketball for at least the last 4 years. At least.
I haven't played basketball in 12 years, so I guess we're even.
And I want to say the last time I played like competitively, like I played a one-on-one game. And I want to say this was the one season where you were coaching with us that you didn't coach that particular season. And the kid comes up to me in practice. He had a basketball in his hand. I said, me and me. I said, man, you don't know what you're doing with that thing. And he said to me, Coach, now mind this is about 4 or 5 years ago. He said, Coach, I'll beat you 10-0, one-on-one. I
And you
said, what?
took
Oh, absolutely. I'd take the challenge today. Maybe.
what?
Man, I'm pretty
You
sure he scored about 6, 7 straight
you
on me. And
took
then I got a little nervous because I had chances to score. I was like, I make sure, like, look, so you're saying I score 1 point, I win. He said, yeah, you're not going to score. Challenge accepted. I had the ball first. I put up a jumpers thinking I'm going to knock this down. Game going to be over. I missed. I had about 4 or 5 chances to score and I missed. And I think he scored like 7 straight, and I got nervous. Eventually, I did score, and I beat him. I think I beat him like, I think he had 8, and I scored one and one. But I was so sore the next day. My lungs were burning. I felt like it was the first day of track practice. My chest was like opened up and breathing all types of new air and coughing and stuff. And it was a what game of 1-on-1.
Yeah.
This getting old stuff, and I got a birthday coming up, but this getting old stuff is funny. Trying to figure this whole thing out, man. But
I,
I digress.
no, I feel you, but I think on my end the saving grace was 2 weeks ago getting that cortisone shot in the knee, and then coming out like a kung fu fighter. What?
Listen, whew, excuse me. I think I need to be on a cortisone regimen.
Lord,
They need to make cortisone pills or something. I need to do they make cortisone pills?
no,
Oh, okay. Well, I need to be on like a regimen.
it's completely illegal and could cause stroke and or death.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
forget that.
I don't
Never
think
mind.
I don't think that'll work out too well.
Never mind. I'll just take the ointment. That's a funny word, ointment. Um, let's move on real quick. The World Swimming Organization bans transgender athletes from women's events. Two things on this real quick. Two thoughts. Um, I'm not opposed to that. Number two, it almost seems I'm going to regret saying this. It almost seems unfair though. Why just women's events? And I already know the answer, but I'm still going to say it. Why aren't transgender athletes banned from men's events? Can you tell me why?
I thought that this. Well, I
I know
think.
why it is. I can tell you it's because, the women don't usually compete on the same level as the men. So they're saying if you want to be a transgender athlete and you're a woman transgendering to a man, I know I sound so ignorant when I say stuff like that, but that's how I understand it. They're saying that you can go ahead by all means if you want to compete that way and go ahead because they don't feel like you have any type of competitive advantage.
Well, keep in mind, I think that what they're trying to do, NCAA, Olympics, all I think they're trying to figure out a way to monetize this because they already started talking about a quote unquote open category. So it'll be women, it'll be men, and open,
Mhm.
which even if you're talking about a fairness level, I think that's the only way you can really, n- try to make it fair. Because again, it goes back to science, it goes back to, kind of, fairness. Because I know they talked about trying to, if they're on, if the male is on hormone medication, they have to show that the male hormone gene is less than or equal to what it would be for a female over the course of time over 3 years, which is a lot more challenging to monitor and maintain. But I think that it's opening up the possibilities to have an open event at the Olympics, which is another opportunity to advertise and monetize, if that makes sense. They may even it's not you have the regular Olympics and you have the Paralympics. Now you can have the Open Olympic or whatever you're going to change it to, the LGBTQ Olympic.
Yeah, you can have a
You
whole
whole
separate
a whole separate thing, and
if you have enough athletes for it. Yeah.
if you have enough athletes over, because right now I think the sample size is growing, but it's still so small that it doesn't justify having their own event. And
Right.
not for nothing, but it may work to their favor because now you have a dedicated focus to that group.
Yeah.
Could be a possibility. I mean, this is all still
Oh,
so new, and
yeah, it's very new. My only question would be, let's say I'm an organizer or I'm somebody that's looking to monetize. My only question would be, what would the audience be? Like, would the audience be? Of course, like let's keep it. Let's be honest. I don't know for a fact, but I'm just going to assume viewership for the Olympics is higher than viewership for the Paralympics or the Special Olympics. Okay, I'm going to assume that. Um, what would it be for an open Olympics?
I think initially it's going to be sky high because it's new.
Hmm.
It'll finally, get everybody. I think for some people it'll be intriguing at first, like let's see what this
And,
really,
and the curiosity.
the curiosity. So I think for the first maybe 2 or 3 Olympics that you do it, I think it'll be fairly high, and then I think within 3 Olympics, that's what 12 years. Over the course of that 12 years, you'll be able to see which direction it's going to go. So I think in the very beginning, it may actually be a hit. If for lack of a better word.
Well,
Uh,
new things do tend to get a lot of viewership in the very beginning.
right.
Um, I want to say I don't know what the viewership is on the Big Three basketball league, but I know that the first few weeks of it, people were glued to it. I don't
Yeah,
know if
and
that's the case, but I know the first few weeks people were glued. They
I
was
was
going.
glued to it when because wasn't it an event in the Olympics?
This year it was an event in the 3-on-3 basketball. It was an event in the Olympics this year.
I wasn't. I'll admit I was kind of enamored by it. I was like, this
I
is
did
pretty
watch
cool.
it. I watched it in
Yeah.
the Olympics. I did watch the because I didn't even know. I just saw like later it was like 3-on-3 basketball. I was like, whoa, wait a minute,
I
three on
was
three
enamored
basketball.
by that, and for the first time, I actually watched the trampoline event. I was really enamored. Although part of me is like, when you watch NASCAR, you're actually looking for the crash. I was looking for somebody to like fall and break their neck. I ain't gonna lie to you. I wanted to see somebody just come. Oh my god, his bonus
You
doing
wanted
his
to
skin.
see the gore and the you wanted to
It's
see something bad happen. I had a
it's
whole word in my mind and it slipped. I was trying to find it.
it's the '80s wrestling in me.
I think about what I saw this morning on a news show this morning, local news show this morning. The lady went to talk to I think it was called the Vasquez Circus, some circus that's in town,
Hmm.
and they had the the little globe thing where the motorcycle guys, dirt bike ride, they go when
Yeah,
they ride,
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that.
and she was she was standing. The reporter was standing in the middle of that while they were like going around her and stuff,
Crazy.
and I was just like, as somebody that worked on a local morning show, I was like, I know that the people in the newsroom, in the control room, are like, especially like producers and stuff. I know they're nervous as hell.
Yeah,
That's something because that's live.
yeah,
Something goes bad, there's nothing they can do about it. They have to go away from it. There's really not much they can do about it. So,
right.
um, yeah, look, watching those events, like watching some of them events, I can agree with you that sometimes I watch to see if something goes bad.
Ice skating.
I watch to see if they're going to fall.
Thank you.
I don't watch for the grace. I don't watch for the glamour of the sport. I don't watch for the competition. I watch to see if somebody's going to fall.
You know what?
And I watch to see the things that they do
Yeah.
and not fall and be amazed by it.
Right. 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 Right.
Like it got to the point where really in the Olympics, I don't watch figure skating anymore because they don't really fall. They're that doggone good.
Yeah.
They just really don't fall. Like it's rare to see an Olympian fall, but it happens.
Right.
Um, but yeah, if you have some thoughts on that, hit us up. Let us know what you think. You can leave a comment bottom of the video or bottom of the chat, whatever the case may be. We're gonna move on real quick to we're gonna talk about. I want to go. I want to go to this one first. Just not too long ago, there's some tragic deaths. Some deaths in the NFL world. And they came as a surprise. Came as a surprise. Um, Tony Saragusa, former Raven, and Jalen. Doggone, I had his name right here. What was his name? Miguel Jalen.
Jalon Ferguson.
Jalen Ferguson. Thank you. Jalen Ferguson both passed away yesterday. At the time of us doing the show. Um, man, that's tough, man. For one organization to lose, like a legend from the organization and a new face in the organization in the same day. And I know Jamal Lewis said, today is, it's a sad day, tough day to be a Raven. And I don't know, you're in the area. I didn't hear much about the circumstances behind the two deaths. Do you have any information on that, Miguel?
So, as of a few hours ago, this is from the New York Post. It said, despite speculation and early reports at this time, the cause of Jalen's death has yet to be determined. He was found unresponsive at a home in Baltimore in the Harwood neighborhood late on Tuesday. They were found the medics providing treatment to Ferguson, who was unresponsive. Now, the initial report is that they were not ruling. There was no signs of trauma, no signs of foul play, but they also were not ruling out the possibility of an overdose because I believe the original call said that he stopped breathing.
Mm.
Um, so with there's a lot of stuff. There are a lot of things going on in Baltimore. Especially in regards to like the violence and things like that. Um, there's politicians that are being sued for stuff, and I think one of the police chiefs had to fire a couple of police officers, and then you have that new show coming out that talks about some of the corruption within the Baltimore Police Department over the last decade. So there's a lot of stuff going on in Baltimore City in regards to that. But then I think once the passing of Tony Saragusa, it was kind of like wow, it was like kind of a 1-2 punch that nobody was expecting that really hit sports fans here pretty hard. So
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I mean, he was well liked in Baltimore. He was well liked all across the NFL, really, to the point where he was put on the Fox Sports football A team with Joe Buck and Troy Aikman, their A team, and giving sideline reports and stuff like that. And he was good at it. His personality, he was him. He didn't try to be something that he wasn't. Um, and to lose somebody like that just suddenly, and I'm just looking at some of the reports that said he received CPR prior to his death. The police administered CPR. He was at his home in Jersey, in Thomas River, New Jersey, I believe. Um, and just rather unfortunate. I just want to say my condolences to both of those families and to that fan base and friends and all like that of both of those guys. And I pray that you have strength during this time. Very very sad news yesterday. Very
both
sad.
both both so young, 55 and 26 respectively.
How about it? How about it? So I definitely wanted to get that in before we got out of here. One quick note before Miguel stumps me. Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles quarterback, applied to the U.S. government to trademark "Hurts so good." To trademark that phrase, "Hurts so good." Probably won't happen. I'm going to assume it's not, just because LeBron got denied Taco Tuesday. Um, but it's kind of fun to see him do that. Kind of made me wish I had thought to do it.
Well,
But
so the person that reported that story, you know, he was able to trademark Stone Cold Mortal Lock. It's in the trademark office in the U.S. government. Yep.
mm,
So he can actually use that, advertise it, make money off of it. So it's a smart move by Jalen Hurts. Good luck if it happens, though. You know what I mean?
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I know there were a couple other players throughout recent times that tried to have some things trademarked and try to make money off of. Some get it, some get denied. But
It makes me want to. It makes me want to trademark. My knees, my back, my knees, and my back. You know what I mean? Because that's how I feel on a daily basis.
my neck and my back. Miguel Cabrera. I must be right. The silence lets me know I am correct. Well, I kind of figured the teams. I know it was the Marlins, and I assumed it was Detroit. I knew it was a triple crown. You put all the good information in there that I needed. I knew it was a triple crown winner. I knew the Marlins won.
It should have. You should have had it at Triple Crown because he's the first Triple Crown winner in like 60 years.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. He was. You're absolutely right.
Because
I
can you
knew
name
the
the last person that won the Triple Crown before him?
was it. I know I'm wrong. I wanted to say Ted Williams, but it's not Ted Williams.
Same team, different era.
Who-
He came right after Ted Williams. Matter of fact, played the same position. No, I'm lying. He did. Yeah, he played the same position as Ted Williams, left field. So,
who was it?
Carl Yastrzemski.
Yastrzemski. Oh, go on.
Yeah, he was the
For
last
some
one.
reason in my mind, I always get Yastrzemski and Brooks Robinson switched for some reason in my mind. I don't know why. I just do.
Hmm.
I don't know why.
Yeah, that's
Just how my brain works sometimes. Not the smartest. I'm not the smartest chip in in the bag. But I think that might have been the quickest I got. I got it because actually it was the whole the World Series 2003 thing.
Yeah, you're good.
Was a Pierre team.
Yeah, Juan Pierre. Yeah, you're good with your Marlins history. You're better with your Marlins history than you are with your Braves history.
Yeah, you know why? Because the Marlins history doesn't go back that far. I've seen all the Marlins history. All the Marlins history. Had a question for you, Miguel, before we go, because it's something that bothered me. I never Googled it, and I every time I think about it, I come up blank. Okay.
Do I need my lawyer present?
No, I think you'll probably be able to get this immediately if there's even an answer to it, and if there's not an answer to it, you'll be able to tell me that too. When the Marlins joined the Major League Baseball, it was the Marlins and the Rockies.
Correct.
When the D-backs joined Major League Baseball, was there another team that joined with them?
Tampa Bay Devil Rays.
Tampa Bay Rays. That's what it was. And you know what? Now that you say that, I remembered at one point, and then when I thought about the question again, I forgot all over again. The Tampa Bay Devil Rays are the team. That's right. Okay. Thank you very much for clearing that up for me. I needed
that. I'm here to help.
Before we get out of here, I just want to say, give a quick shout out to the whole class of 2022.
Yes, 2022.
I almost 2023. The whole class of 2022. Congratulations to all of y'all, especially the guys that I coached this year. Patel, Jayon, Howie, and Tariq. You guys, I wish you all the best in your future endeavors, and never forget where you came from. Come back and say hello to your old coach. With that all being said, I'm going to give Miguel a chance to have the last word before we get out of here if he wants it.
Odubel Herrera is walking constipation.
Well, all right. Well, with that being said, we're going to get up out of here. We appreciate y'all hanging with us for the Check Swing Podcast. Once again, we will talk to y'all next time right here on the Check Swing Podcast here on New Twist Radio. Make sure you follow New Twist Radio on all social medias at New Twist Radio. You can also check me out, Jay Watson Radio Man, on all the social medias. And check out Miguel. He didn't give out his social media earlier. Oh, he's over here. He didn't give out his social media earlier, but do you want to give it out right now? Because I know you said you were talking about your video, and I want people to see it.
What is my social media?
It would be MA
Santa 1076.
There you go.
There you go.
Now, with all that being said, once again, appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We'll check y'all next time here on the Check Swing Podcast. Peace.